that project. It gives a collaboration and communication between each and every person, whoever is involved. So BDD uses a natural language, like it uses given, when, then, and there is a some and conjunction. So there in some scenarios where we can have multiple preconditions, like multiple input parameters and multiple operations that we need to perform, and then we can expect multiple outcomes when user performs certain action on that particular application. So basically, given, when, then is the Jekyll language syntax that we have to use in our feature files. So I'll show you how we can write a feature file and how we can add scenarios in that file in this session. So this is one sample scenario, but let's forget about this. I'll give you some simple scenario to understand better. So this is again, what are the benefits of BDD? So it gives a clear documentation of what exactly we are going to develop, and once the development is completed, we will write our test execution against those scenarios, and it will make sure that once we write test cases, it will generate a report in HTML format, so that each and every release we can execute the same scenarios for execution, so that each and every person in the team can view the results and nothing is broken. In the as part of regression testing, we should make sure that the functionality should not broke, right? So by just seeing the report of this BDD file, they'll get to know each and every functionality is working as expected. And the collaboration is nothing but to make sure everyone is on the same page about the requirements and the application behavior. And test automation, we have multiple flavors of BDD, like JBehave, Cucumber, like that. Okay, and this is REST API. Let's leave about this REST API. So in this session, we'll start writing a Cucumber framework where we can write our automation test cases. Okay, so can you guys, if you are on a system, you can also follow the same steps that I am doing. If you are stuck on somewhere, right away we can resolve instead of waiting for another day. So is everyone on their PCs?
Yes, Mahesh.
No, Mahesh, I'm using mobile. I will use it. I will use laptop once I go home.
Oh, okay. Whoever is available with their PCs, just start doing whatever I am doing here. Okay. So open IntelliJ and stop me if you are stuck somewhere. So here, select file, click new, and select. Here we are creating a new project, right? Select project. So by default, we have to select, since we are developing projects using Maven, right? So select the Maven archetype and give name as my first Cucumber project. And here select archetype as Maven archetype quick start. Select this one, Maven archetype. Or you can choose the quick start one. So that what happens if you select this quick start, Maven by default generates a sample folder structure to you. Like by default, Maven follows some approach, right? In earlier session, we have discussed about SRC main Java, SRC test Java, and it generates a pom.xml file. In a similar fashion, when you select this Maven archetype quick start, by default, it will provide you a default folder structure to you. Okay, I selected this one. Now select create, open in new window. See, a project is automatically gets generated, and it is downloading the necessary files. Let's wait for it to complete. got successful, right? So now if you expand the src folder here, you can see src main java and some default file that they have created, but we can delete this particular file. Just for example, they have given this, and this is also similar, src test java, and whatever the files that you wanted to add, you can add under this. So to develop a Cucumber BDD framework, mainly we need three dependencies. One is Cucumber Java and Selenium Cucumber JUnit. So let's go to Maven repository and search for these dependencies. So far, any questions you have? You are good, right?
Yes, we are
So
good.
yeah, so here what you have to choose is io.cucumber is the official package that Cucumber guys has deployed their libraries. So you can select this one, Cucumber Java.
What did you type in the Chrome? Like Cucumber?
Cucumber Java,
Cucumber Java. Okay.
and choose the latest version 7.15.0. Copy this dependency. Here we need to add this particular thing under dependencies, right? So I'm just adding that particular thing under dependencies tag. So under dependencies tag, you can add n number of dependencies that you require. This is one dependency. This is for Cucumber Java. And similarly, you can search for Cucumber JUnit. Cucumber JUnit, right? So here also you have to take the dependency from io.cucumber. Okay. So here io.cucumber. Select the latest version and copy this. And one more library that we require is Selenium. Selenium Java. Choose this one, Selenium Java. So latest version is 4.18.1. Copy this. Paste this particular dependency. So once you have added all these three dependencies, you click on Maven refresh. Select Maven here and choose this reload. So what it does is it will automatically downloads the required libraries to you. Let me refresh here. Just doing indexing. You can see the status here. Okay, so if you see everything is checked, you can see green symbol here. So that means whatever the dependencies that you just added are added to your project class path, so that you can now whatever they have developed as part of their framework or their utility, you can use in your project. So we cannot just use the Cucumber functionality without adding this dependency to your project. So this is what we are doing in pom.xml file. So once we have all the required dependencies, now we'll start writing Cucumber feature files. So as per industry standard, we have to create a separate folder for feature files. So for example, let me create a folder called features directory, features. So this is the directory that we have created. Whatever the feature file that we wanted to add, you can add the all those feature files under this. So for example, I wanted to add a login functionality feature file, login dot feature. See, once you added login dot feature, you can see a Cucumber icon here. So that means this particular feature file is belongs to a Cucumber framework. Let me know if you are not able to see the icon when you select login dart feature. Each and every file that you added as part of feature file, the extension should be with the dart feature. Then only your system will recognize this is a feature file that is implemented in Cucumber. Okay, so Cucumber provides multiple options, multiple keywords. One is the main one is feature. So feature describes about what exactly this particular feature file contains. What are different scenarios? So basically, we'll group all the scenarios related to login functionality in login feature, right? So this is the top level keyword. Like for example, you have some 5 scenarios. All those 5 scenarios are related to login functionality. So you can give a login feature as the feature name. Now, next, what is your test case exactly? Scenario. You have to give scenario as a keyword, and you can pass what is your scenario. So I want to verify my login functionality is working fine. Like after the user is entering username and password with valid credentials, he should be able to see the login page. We have discussed this earlier, right? In a similar scenario, we will write using Cucumber BDD. Earlier we have written using testng. So the problem with testng is, so we will just see what are the different lines of code, but nobody knows what exactly we are doing. For example, if some non-technical guys sees your code, they will not understand what exactly you are doing. But with the help of this Cucumber framework, what happens is, by just seeing the this feature file, they'll get to know what exactly we are testing here, right? So it is a plain English language, so everybody can understand. That's the advantage of using Cucumber BDD framework when compared with testng. So testng will not provide any details what exactly you are doing, right? So but Cucumber will provide you in detail, like what exactly you are doing. It will give clear picture. By just seeing this feature file and scenarios, they'll get to know clarity about the requirements. Successful login scenario. Now, so as we discussed, Cucumber provides mainly three different keywords. Given means the precondition, like what is the existing condition, and what user is trying to perform on that particular condition, and what is the outcome. So the precondition and the input conditions that we have should be, and we should be written those conditions under given statement. Okay, so given user is on login page, when he enters valid credentials and click on sign in button, then means expected outcome, like what exactly, once user is clicking on sign in button, what is the expectation? User should be on his home page, right? So now this is by just saying this particular state scenario, everyone will understand what exactly user is trying to do, and what is the behavior that is expected. So everyone will be on the same page, right? So here you can see some yellow marks, right? Because it is not implemented. It's just a plain English language, but internally we have to write the code to perform these actions with the help of Selenium library, right? So for example, if I just written this, I mean, if I just run this particular feature file, you can see some errors. Let me run and show you what errors you will see. All right, it is failed. So the advantage of using Cucumber is it will by default generate what you have to implement. So this is just a plain English language, but you have to implement its details, right? So that's the reason it provides you these 3 or 4 statements that you have to write code. So where exactly we can write this code is under src test and create a folder under Java as steps. Folder or package, you can call package, right? In Java we have packages. So create a package and name it as steps. So here you can add the step name as login steps. So in this particular file we can add those steps that Cucumber provides to you. See here, these given and given when and then, all these are Cucumber annotations. So you have to import the Cucumber. You have to import these from Cucumber framework. See io.cucumber.java. You can see this particular import, right? So if we didn't add that particular Cucumber library, you will not see this option. And then similarly, so you can see all these are from io.cucumber package. Okay, now let me remove. If you're directly try to execute, you will get a pending exception. Means you have to write some code in order to work this properly. For example, time being, I'll just write some sample code here, like a SOP statement. I am from given statement given. See, now we have a feature file and its corresponding step definitions. But still, when you click on this particular user is on home page, it redirects to this particular step definition. That means for each and if you don't see any warnings here, earlier you used to see some yellow lines below the statements, right? That means that particular step is not implemented. Now you are not seeing any yellow or warning symbols here, right? So that means the implementation for these steps is completed, where uh, we'll try whether it is working now or not. Okay, I'm just trying to run the same. We'll see what is happening now. Still it is failing. Though the implementation is completed, it is still failing, saying you can implement these step and 3 other steps using step is undefined, it is saying. So why it is saying? Because we have to link these feature files with the step definition using a JUnit runner file. So that runner file we can create under uh, we can write under Java, main Java, or we can run under test Java. But let me write under here itself. Let me run runner package here, runner, and under this runner package, I'll create a test runner file. So what we will be doing under this file is we will write some syntaxes that Cucumber needs. So we have to run this file with the help of Cucumber, right? So you have to use this annotation called run with. Should be run with only. For some reason it is not recognizing. Let me put this particular package. I'll delete this particular package. So I'll add this to class path JUnit4. JUnit4. Okay, now I'll add here cucumber.class. Cucumber.class. Okay, so this means we will be running this particular feature file with the help of Cucumber. So that's the reason we have imported Cucumber with JUnit library. Okay, and we also have to pass some options to this. Under Cucumber options, here we need to specify what is the location of your feature file, and you have to glue those feature files with your step definitions. So first of all, we'll write what is the location of your feature files. So feature files are under features directory, right? And similarly, we have to glue these features with step definitions. So what is the directory name for your step definition? It is steps, right? You have to pass that steps. And there is one more option called plugin. Plugin, what it does is it will generate a report in which format you have specified. Plugin. So pretty means it will generate a report in a nice manner. And then you can pass. Now we want to generate an HTML report. So you can pass HTML as the key, and you wanted to give a name to that particular report. For example, my test report is the name of the test report file dot html. So when you run this particular file, what happens is it will identify what are the different feature files that we have under features directory, and it links those feature files with the steps. Means we have features in this particular feature folder and steps are in here. Like you could have a number of step definition files and a number of feature files. So here what exactly we are doing is we are linking those feature files with the step definitions for running purpose. For execution purpose we are linking those two things. And why we are using this plugin is to generate a test report once the test execution is completed, right? So let me run this particular file and we'll see what is happening. See, now the test is successful, and you can see some statements like whether if it is passed, you can see the green font here, green color here. If it is failed, you can see it is in fail, and it will give you the details what is the reason for the failure. Okay, so now we have given this particular HTML. Once the execution is completed, we are expecting a test report to be generated for the scenarios that we have created, right? So let me we can see whether it is generated or not. You can see this my test report.html file is generated. Let me open in Chrome and see what exactly it is containing. Open in browser Chrome. See, so by default Cucumber generates a report like this. So like if you have multiple scenarios, how many are passed and how much time it took for execution. How many minutes ago this execution has done, and what is the duration of the test execution, and what is the operating system, and what is the JDK version that you are using, and the Cucumber version. And you can see the feature file as well. Like for example here, you can see the statements that we have written in our feature file. So when you are in real-time project, once your test execution is completed, you will see a similar kind of test report that gets generated, and you can share this particular report with anyone. So they will they will just get to know that total we have these many scenarios, these many are passed and these many are failed. If there is any failure, they can just click on this particular statement, and they will get to know what exactly this particular scenario, what exactly what is the reason for the failure. So that by just seeing the report, they will get to know what is the regression and how it is working after the latest releases are deployed in QA environment. For demonstration purpose, we can fail any particular line. We'll see whether the particular reason for the failure is displayed in the report or not. Okay, so let me intentionally fail any one of the statement. I will fail this one. So we can use assertion class here as well, like we have used in TestNGLI, right? Similarly, you can use the same library, asset true, and we are expecting false here. Then it will automatically fails, right? Because we are expecting true, but the condition returns to you is false. So by default, this particular statement should fail, and we should see some message. Like I'll just pass one message so that you can see the same message in the test report.
1 minute left. Please stay on.
Okay, we can
Please
rejoin.
stay on.
Everyone, please rejoin. So we are discussing, we are purposefully failed the test case to show the reason in test report, right? Expected true, actually is false, right? So let me rerun the same test case now and see what report will show you. See, this is failed now. Okay, so it is failed at verify is on home page step, and the error for that particular thing is expected true, actually is false, right? You have to see the same description in your test report as well. So let me go to the report and think it will generate a new report. Okay, see, so it is also displaying verify is on home page step is failed due to this reason. So you nobody wants to deep dive in what exactly it is, why it is exactly failing, right? By just seeing the report, they will get to know what is the reason for the failure, so that the even the business holders or stakeholders, whoever is involved in that project, can directly view your test report with the help of this Cucumber report. Okay, so now we have one more feature in Cucumber options, that is dry run. Dry run is this is mainly for uh, once you have written your feature files and you haven't implemented any step definition for that particular feature file. So what happens is it will verify whether all the feature files and the scenarios have particular implementation, I mean steps. So if you run with dry run is equals to true, what happens is it will not directly go and execute the statements or lines that are present in the methods. Like these lines will not executed. Only thing it verifies is whether each and every feature file that we have added has a implementation, but it will not execute the internal code that we have written under the steps. So now we have try run is equals to true. We'll see what is happening now. Okay, true means it just runs without executing the internal lines of code. Okay, even we have a failure, right? In this statement it will automatically fail, but still it is got successful because it just checks for where each and every line has some implementation, but internal lines of code it will not execute when you use this option dry run is equals to true. Okay, why we have to use is, for example, you have n number of scenarios you have added and you forgot to add implementation for one particular line. For example, I just add this particular just one more statement here, and verify profile icon. Okay, so we have added this particular statement, but this particular line is not having any implementation. So try to run the feature file and see what is happening. See, this is failed. Why it is failed? This particular line doesn't have any implementation. So yeah, when you have thousands of scenarios and you are not sure which line of which particular statement is not having implementation, you can use this particular feature called dry run is equals to true. So when you use this particular boolean value dry run is equals to true, so you have some 10 lines of statements which doesn't have any implementation, then it will automatically generate a block of code for each and every statement like this. So that would be very helpful instead of going to each and every line and choose step definition, and you have to write these statements manually. Instead of doing that, Cucumber by default it generates these lines. Now once it is provided this particular statement, you can directly copy this thing and put it under step definition, and you can add some code, whatever the code that you wanted to write here you can add, like from dry run generated code. generated snippet. So now if you run this particular feature with dry run is equals to true, this time it will successful because the last line is also having a step implementation. So this time it will pass, right? Each and every statement have some step definition. And now if you go to disable it, dry run is equals to false. Now in this case it will execute the internal lines of code as well. See, this time it executes the internal lines of code as well. It failed due to the same reason. Expected true, but actually it's false, right? So that's the reason it failed. So this is the advantage when you have thousands of feature files and scenarios, and you are not sure which scenario is implemented and which statement is implemented and which is not implemented. So this is the best way of using it. And the most popular what we call keyword that we mostly used here is tags. So tags is nothing but we have for example we have 10 scenarios where we wanted to execute only couple of scenarios sometimes, and we wanted to execute all scenarios sometimes. So in order to differentiate and if in order to organize your test execution, so tags provide you an option. So here what happens is if you pass tags here, you have to uh, annotate each and every scenario that you have in your feature file. For example, this is my first test, or you can name this test case as login test, right? Login test. So you have to add this particular unit annotation in your runner file. So when you add this particular tag, what happens is Cucumber will search for all the scenarios that are tagged with this particular annotation @login. So @ is a common. We have to provide by default. We have to annotate any scenario with @ symbol, but the name could be anything, whatever you wanted to give. It's your wish, but @ should be must and should for each and every tag that you added here. So I have @login tag here, right? And I'll add one more scenario just for demonstration purpose. What is the use of these tags? Okay, here I'll use negative scenario. Login scenario with invalid credentials. And here also you can mention invalid. Here you can mention like then verify error message, right? Verify error message. So here these two statements doesn't have implementation, but these two are already have implementation. So since we only have 2 lines, we can directly implement the code with the help of you can see bulb symbol here, right? When you click on here, it will provide you these two options. You can create a symbol step definition for single statement, or you can create step definitions for each and every statement that didn't implement it. So when you click on that, you can if you want to create a new step definition file, you can create, or you can use the same steps file. For time being, I'm using the same steps file here. So it created these two step definitions. Okay, just writing dummy code here. Validate credential step. So now we have implementation for 2 scenarios and each and every statement. So I'm tagging with this as a login. Both are login scenarios, so I will tag these scenarios with login. So when you pass this particular tag to the test runner file, what happens is it will search for each and every scenario that is annotated with the login scenario. If I just run this particular feature file, what happens is it will since these two scenarios are having this annotation, so both will execute now. So one is failed for some reason and one is successful, right? Okay. If you go to the report, you can see the two scenarios executed now. See, two executed, one passed and one failed. Since these particular scenarios are having @login is the annotation, so it executed two scenarios. Now I only wanted to execute the happy path scenario and ignore the negative scenario. So what I can do is I can provide one more tag for this successful scenarios. Login, successful login, right? And I don't want to execute this particular scenario, so I'll tag this as failed or failed scenario, failed login. So you can have n number of tags above each and every scenario. There is no limit for adding tags above each and every scenario. You can add n number of tags here. So now I wanted to execute only this particular scenario, but not this. So I can use this particular tag. If you use @login, it will execute both. But this particular tag is only tagged with linked with this particular scenario, right? So you can just copy this particular tag and put it in under tag section here. So now what happens is it will just execute only single scenario. See, this time it executes only one scenario, and go to the report. You can see only one executed. So that's the advantage of using tags. Any questions so far?
No, Mahesh.
Okay. So here tags, we can also use the binary operations like you can mention like and tag or r tag. What happens is when you wanted to pass multiple tags to the runner file, you can use, for example, here I have a common login annotation, but I wanted to specify these tags. Like in some cases, what happens is instead of grouping each and every scenario of that particular feature file with single annotation, we will tag that particular scenario with a unique name. But for example, I have 3 to 5 scenarios here, and I just wanted to execute two scenarios here. So here, for example, I just wanted to run these two scenarios only, but instead of giving @login annotation, I can just give the annotations of that particular test case. And I wanted to provide multiple annotations. You can use and condition or or condition, whatever you wish. So when you pass this particular thing, what happens is a scenario which is having @successful login and @fail login, then only this particular those scenarios will execute, right? If you pass r, any scenario which is tagged with this annotation or this annotation will execute. You will see the difference between and r conditions. See, if you are using r condition, it execute two scenarios. But if you use and condition, what happens is it will search for the tags, a scenario which is containing both the tags, then only it will execute. So with these tags, we don't have any test case. I mean, the combined annotations, we don't have any right. So that's the reason it failed. It doesn't have any scenarios to execute. Now I'll just give login tag here and failed login. In out of login scenarios, I wanted to execute only failed login scenario. Then I can use this condition. Now you can see only failed login scenario will execute. See, login scenario with invalid credentials. This particular scenario executed. So this is the advantage of using and then R operations in tags. So I'm done with today's session. In the next session, we will use this same framework and whatever the scenarios that we have added in TestNG, like happy path scenarios, various kinds of error messages, and that we have verified in using TestNG. The same test cases we will implement with the help of a page object pattern. So once we have implemented I mean those test cases with the page object pattern and page object model, so that's the final structure of our framework. So in that framework, what happens is we will identify what are the different elements, and we will store all those elements in a single file called page elements. And we will have a statement steps file like this, where you can directly call those page elements and you can perform the actions. So that's the final structure of our Cucumber BDD framework. So in the next session, we will cover that. Okay. So any questions so far?
No, Mahesh. All good.
Okay, okay. Try to practice the same whatever we have discussed today, and let me know if we are facing any challenges.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Suma, I'm done with today's session. So
Okay.
you can upload that in YouTube if anybody wants to take reference. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Mahesh.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.